long time no see. I haven't done a FNAF video in a bit. I'm trying to diversify my content so it's not just all FNAF because there's still a bunch more Chica episodes because this character took the longest out of the bunch so far. Let's get into the news. Currently, I have a big project planned for October. I'm hoping I can get it done by October. If the video isn't posted by October, this means that I'm probably going to post a more generic video with the rest of my footage that I have. But I'm really excited about October's video. I hope I can post in October because it's horror themed. I mean, technically I do a lot of Five Nights at Freddy's stuff, so that's also horror themed, but so far none of it's been super spooky. Okay, enough about non-FNAF stuff. You know, you came here for Chica, you're gonna get Chica. I think at this point we've covered a lot of the non-spoiler stuff and just some interesting facts about Chica as a character. So I guess since we still have a bunch of videos left, we can start talking about the spirit inside of Chica, aka who's Chica's ghost is. So the spirit inside of Chica was a girl named Christine. She was the second or third oldest character according to the middle school version from what I can remember. She probably has the most like specific backstory out of all the kids. I mean, not that all the other kids don't have like personalities or like situations at home and like fully thought out lives. Speedrun Jeremy inside of Bonnie came from an abusive household and has a dead mother and an abusive father. Theodore and Frankie, Freddy and Foxy's spirits are both siblings and come from a foster home and were generally unsupervised. Yada yada yada. Okay, so what's the deal with Chica's spirit? Well, Christine is kind of different, and her backstory basically has not changed at all from the original middle school version. Christine actually comes from a pretty wealthy home. Specifically, if I had to compare her backstory to any fictional characters that already exist, now that I'm much older and have watched a bunch of media, I would say that she has a very similar backstory to Nicole from The Amazing World of Gumball or Ragatha from Amazing Digital Circus. She comes from a very wealthy and typically diligent family. Unlike the other kids who would go missing and no one would really notice, Crystal or Christine would actively be the one who has to sneak out and trick people into them not knowing where she is. She actually isn't from the area where Freddy's is built. Freddy's is seen as a kind of cheap end restaurant that people take their kids to. I mean, yeah, it costs a decent amount of money because you have to buy tokens and stuff because it's a retro themed arcade where they still have a token system or like a card system like Dave and Buster's currently has. In the original middle school version, I never explained how she found out about the restaurant, considering she doesn't really live nearby. In fact, I specifically wrote her living in a mansion, basically on like the good side of town, or I say a mansion, but it's like a really big house, which I mean, you could say is a mansion. So I guess a small mansion. Thing is, I never got far enough into this project to develop how she even found out about this place. All I did was basically go, yep, she runs away from home all the time and uses like fake play dates and stuff so that she can go to Freddy's and hang out with her friends. But like I never explained how she even found out about the place for the first time. I mean, sure, she probably saw an advertisement on the news, but like how did she even get there the first time? Did she just run away on her own or whatever? I decided that probably the most logical and simplest explanation of why she started going to Freddy's is that she has a poor aunt who decided to take her one time. She thought it was really fun, but her parents didn't want her to go back. So she's just been sneaking off to go there, especially because she's homeschooled and doesn't have real friends because she doesn't go to like real school. To be fair, her being homeschooled was something in the original middle school version, either that or prep school. I wanted her to be basically socially isolated outside of the Freddy gang, aka the kids that hang out at Freddy's every single day. feel like the series has been happening so long that I gotta like make small refreshers. Anyways, like I said earlier, she's very similar to Nicole from The Amazing World of Gumball because her family puts her in a lot of extracurricular activities. They're kind of like tiger parenting her, where they like want her to be super successful, so they push her really hard, and she really hates it. She's not a tomboy by any means. She's a girly girl through and through. It's just that like even she can't stand to the level of girly girlness that her family makes her does. For example, they refuse to let her wear pants and they want her to wear dresses all the time, and she loves dresses, but like sometimes she just wants to wear pants so that she can like do other stuff. I mean, she's allowed to wear pants at her like karate practice. Yes, she takes karate. Basically, she's like a very well-rounded girl in the sense that she does a lot of sports and she does a lot of like girly activities and she's really well studied, but like she really hates it. She just wants to be a normal kid. So that when she goes to Freddy's, she has a spare outfit which she hides in a bush nearby so she can just swap her clothes so nobody knows that she's super rich. She is actually too scared to tell the other kids that she's super rich because she's worried that they're gonna like ask her for money all the time, which she does end up buying everyone like free tokens and stuff. Well, it's not free for her, she's buying them stuff, but she doesn't want them to like know she's rich. She just wants to like help out her friends without the pressure of like, hey, I'm rich, so like let me buy you tons of stuff. Because at the end of the day, she's like 10 or 11 and she just wants to have a social life for her age. And that's what makes the whole situation super tragic, is that her wanting to find these friends to escape her family for a little bit ended up being the reason why she lost her life. We're gonna start heading into heavy spoiler territory soon enough about what exactly happened to her. I mean, all this is kind of spoilers because it's about the ghost thing and that's like later in the story. But you get my point, like this is like how shit goes down. So the typical group dynamic for the kids is they go to Freddy's, they hang out together, and they eat and play and basically stay there from like opening to closing most days, or at least like after school time till closing. And most of the time, the staff just get annoyed with them because they're technically supposed to check if they came in with their parents, but they keep getting in anyways. And they just like, I don't know, they get so much money from these kids running around. And these kids end up encouraging other kids to spend more money on tokens because these kids are kind of competitive and kind of rough and tumble. But like not in a way that like scares off other kids. But it's very clear that like they're kind of being like, yeah, this is our group and all that. And for a long time, that was fine, and things were going pretty well. I mean, these kids were, like, successfully friends for, like, a year and a half or so without any incident. Until one day, somebody approaches their group. A new person. You see, the group initially consisted of Crystal, Jeremy, Theodore, and Frankie. But then one more child joined.